You know it's not working. You've known for a while. Late at night, you've replayed the arguments, the silences, the moments that felt smaller than they should have. Part of you has already decided to leave, and yet, somehow, you're still here. You tell yourself it's complicated. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right time. But the real answer is far stranger. It has very little to do with logic, and almost everything to do with a system in your brain that was never designed for relationships like this. To understand why leaving feels so impossibly hard, you have to go back. Not to your last relationship. Back much further than that. For most of human history, your survival depended on one thing above almost everything else: staying close to the people who kept you alive. As an infant, you couldn't feed yourself, protect yourself, or regulate your own emotions. You depended entirely on a caregiver, and your brain built a powerful system to make sure that bond never broke. This is called attachment, and it's one of the most studied areas in psychology. In the 1950s, a British psychologist named John Bowlby began observing something unsettling. Children who were separated from their caregivers, even briefly, showed intense distress. Not just sadness, something closer to panic. Crying, clinging, searching. Bowlby concluded that this wasn't simply emotional. It was biological. An ancient alarm system designed to keep a vulnerable infant physically close to the person protecting it. Here's the part that matters for you right now as an adult. That alarm system never fully switches off. It just finds new targets. A romantic partner, a close friend, anyone who becomes deeply important to you can get wired into that same ancient circuitry. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between "this relationship is bad for me" and "this person has become my attachment figure." To the oldest part of your brain, those are two completely different questions, and only one of them gets asked. So when you imagine leaving, even a relationship that hurts you, your brain doesn't just process it as ending something unhealthy. It processes it as something closer to the loss of a caregiver, and that registers as danger. This is where things get even stranger. Researcher Mary Ainsworth, working alongside Bowlby, ran an experiment in the 1970s called the strange situation. She'd place a child in a room with their caregiver, then briefly remove the caregiver, then bring them back. What she found was that children with inconsistent caregivers, sometimes warm, sometimes cold or unpredictable, often became the most anxiously attached. They clung the hardest. They were the most distressed by separation. And paradoxically, they were also the quickest to run back to the same caregiver the moment they returned, even if that caregiver had been the source of the inconsistency in the first place. Inconsistency, it turns out, doesn't weaken a bond. It can intensify it. Think about what that means for an adult relationship that has good moments and bad moments. The good moments aren't just nice, they're reinforcing. They tell your nervous system, "See, this is why you stay." The bad moments don't cancel that out. If anything, they raise the stakes of the next good moment, making it feel even more significant when it arrives. This pattern has a name in modern psychology: trauma bonding. It's not about being attracted to pain. It's about a nervous system that has been trained, through unpredictable cycles of closeness and distance, to associate that specific person with both your greatest comfort and your greatest anxiety, often at the same time. And here's the twist almost no one expects. The anxiety itself can start to feel like love. Your body produces similar physiological responses to fear and to intense romantic attachment. A racing heart, heightened alertness, a kind of charged, can't-look-away focus on the other person. If you've spent months or years experiencing those sensations specifically around one person, your brain starts to read those sensations as, "This is what this relationship feels like," rather than, "This is what danger feels like." So when that person isn't around, when the relationship ends, those sensations don't simply disappear. They show up as something else: withdrawal. Researchers studying breakups have found that the brain's response to romantic rejection activates regions associated with physical pain, the same regions that light up when you burn your hand. This isn't a metaphor. Heartbreak, in a very literal sense, can hurt the way an injury hurts. Dr. Helen Fisher, a biological anthropologist who has spent decades studying romantic love, found something else striking. In the early stages of a breakup, especially one the person didn't want, certain brain regions associated with reward and craving often become more active, not less. The brain, deprived of its expected source of attachment, doesn't calm down. It searches harder. It's the same mechanism involved in substance withdrawal. When the source of a strong reward is removed, the craving for it can temporarily intensify before it fades. This is why, in the days after a breakup, people often think about their ex more, not less. Why a single text can undo weeks of resolve. Why just one more conversation can feel like the only thing that will make the discomfort stop, even when, somewhere underneath, you know it won't. Now here's where the modern mirror comes in. You live in a culture that talks about relationships almost entirely in terms of choice. Stay or leave. Red flags or green flags. As if the decision were a simple cost-benefit calculation that any rational person could make once they had enough information. But the part of your brain doing the deciding isn't always the rational part. It's the part that tens of thousands of years ago needed proximity to survive. It's the part that learned, maybe in childhood, that love and uncertainty often arrive together. And it's the part that, when faced with the prospect of losing an attachment figure, responds the same way it would to a threat to your physical safety, with alarm, with searching, with an overwhelming pull back toward the source. This doesn't mean you're trapped. It means the difficulty you're feeling isn't a character flaw. It's not weakness, and it's not proof that the relationship is secretly fine after all. It's your attachment system doing exactly what it evolved to do, treating the loss of an important bond as an emergency, regardless of whether that bond was good for you. Understanding this doesn't make the pull disappear overnight, but it can change what you do with it. The urge to reach out, to go back, to seek one more conversation, isn't a signal that you've made the wrong decision. It's often just your nervous system running its oldest program, the one that says, closeness equals safety, and distance equals danger, even when the truth is the exact opposite. You know it's not working. You've known for a while. And the reason you're still here isn't because part of you doesn't want to leave. It's because part of you, the oldest part, has never learned how.